Welcome back, or welcome for the first time, to Redacted Frequencies. Cypher.
And I'm Echo, and we're really excited about today's topic. It's one we've been, sort of looking into for a while now.
Yeah, absolutely. Today we're diving deep into a topic that, honestly, it's just fascinating how it's like right there in front of us. We're talking about how Freemasons, they seem to just hide in plain sight all around the world despite their, pretty widespread influence.
Right? It's like you hear about them, but do you really see them? And what does that even mean when we say hide in plain sight? Because, for a group that's often associated with secrecy, they're surprisingly visible in a way.
Exactly. It's almost paradoxical. And today we're going to explore all the different ways this is achieved. I mean, we're talking about everything from the very architecture that surrounds us.
Oh, totally. The buildings, the city layouts. It's wild when you start looking.
To, believe it or not, how they're portrayed or even sometimes parodied in pop culture. It's like they're everywhere, but because of how they're presented or how their symbols are integrated, most people just kind of don't really notice or they dismiss it.
It's almost like a desensitization effect, don't you think? Like you see it enough or you see it in a certain context and then it just becomes, normal or even a joke, so you don't dig deeper.
Exactly. So get ready, because we're going to pull back the curtain, so to speak, on some of these not so secrets today.
So picking up right where we left off, Cypher, let's talk about the absolute most visible yet somehow still invisible way Freemasons leave their mark, and that's through architecture. Like literally the buildings around us.
Oh, absolutely, Echo. This is one of my favorite parts of this whole topic, actually, because, they've just embedded their distinctive symbols right into public architecture all over the world for like ages.
It's almost sneaky, isn't it? Like you walk past a courthouse or a city hall every day and you don't even realize you're looking at, something that has a hidden meaning or a connection.
Yeah, precisely. We're talking about things like the obvious ones, right? The square and compass, which is probably their most recognizable symbol. But also you see the all-seeing eye, obelisks, even checkerboard floors. They're just there in so many public spaces.
I remember when I first started looking into this, I was blown away by how often you see these obelisks. Like, they're everywhere, and you just think, oh, it's a monument, or it's, just a cool design, but then you dig a little, and you're like, wait a minute.
It's not just like individual buildings either. I mean, some people claim that entire city layouts, like Washington, D.C. itself, were designed with Masonic geometry in mind. That's a pretty bold statement, but once you start looking at the maps, you can sort of see what they're talking about.
Right? And it's like, whether it's absolutely true or not, the idea that it could be, that something so foundational to a capital city could have those influences, it's just mind-boggling. It makes you look at everything differently.
Totally. And it's not just buildings or city planning. Think about something as common as currency. The US dollar bill, for instance, has elements that many people point to, like the pyramid with the eye. Most people just glance at it and don't even, register what they're seeing.
Oh yeah, the Great Seal. It's just there, right? Like you've seen it a million times, but do you ever really look at it? And then you find out about its alleged connections and you're like, wait, why didn't I notice that before? It's the ultimate plain sight hiding.
It really is. And the Masons, they often commission these buildings and they'll include these subtle indicators of their influence, but without, explicitly naming them or putting up a big sign that says, built by Masons.
Which is, that's the genius of it, isn't it? It's like, they're not overtly secretive in that regard. They're just like putting it out there, but in a way that the average person just doesn't have the context to understand. It's like a secret handshake, but with bricks and mortar.
Yeah, exactly. It's a quiet marker. It's for those who know, I guess, and for those who don't, it just blends into the architectural landscape. It's a fascinating way to subtly project influence without really attracting too much direct scrutiny.
And it's not just like in the US, right? I mean, we're talking about worldwide. These symbols pop up in, Europe, Latin America. It's a global phenomenon. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a testament to how long these traditions have been around and how deeply they've been woven into not just, the fabric of society, but literally the concrete and steel of our cities. It's pretty wild. Speaking of weaving things into the fabric of society, Echo, that brings us beautifully to our next point, which is their political footprint. Because it's not just about what they build, but who they influence, right?
Oh, man, this is where it gets really juicy. I mean, we're talking about historical figures, like seriously powerful people who were allegedly or openly Freemasons. It's kind of staggering when you look at the list.
Yeah, it truly is. Historically, Freemasons have really influenced politics from behind the scenes, like not just a little bit, but quite a lot, actually. You look at names like George Washington,
Yep.
Simón Bolívar, Winston Churchill. These weren't just, casual members. These were leaders who shaped nations, shaped the world, and they were part of this organization.
Right? And it makes you wonder, how much of their decision-making, how much of their strategy was influenced by their involvement in these lodges? Was it, a place where they just went to socialize, or was it deeper than that?
Exactly, because in so many countries, these Masonic lodges, they function as elite networking centers. It's where political, judicial, and business strategies are often discussed, informally, not in a boardroom, but in a more relaxed yet very influential setting.
It's almost like a private club for the powerful, where they can hash things out away from the public eye, and that's a pretty potent thing to have, especially when you're talking about decisions that affect millions of people.
Oh, for sure. And this is where the conspiracy theories really start to kick in, right? Because some people genuinely believe that these global Masonic lodges, they form what they call a shadow government. That they're really pulling the strings behind the scenes.
Yeah, and I can totally see why that idea would take root. I mean, if you have all these influential people from different sectors all connected through this one organization, meeting in secret, discussing strategies, it's a pretty easy leap to make, isn't it?
It really is. And I think that's why this particular aspect of Freemasonry gets so much attention. Because the idea of a hidden hand guiding events, it's compelling. But then you have the other side of the argument, which says, no, this is just social clubs.
Exactly. They're like, look, it's just a place where, like-minded individuals gather, they share common values, they do some charity work, and they have a good time. It's not some, nefarious plot to control the world.
Which, honestly, that's what they would say, wouldn't they? That's what you'd want people to believe if you were a shadow government. So it's hard to really parse out the truth there.
I think it's somewhere in the middle, personally. I mean, I don't know if it's a full-blown shadow government, but to deny that there's any political influence, especially when you have so many prominent figures involved, seems a little naive.
Yeah, I tend to agree. It's probably not, a central command center with a big red button for world domination, but the informal discussions, the networking, the shared loyalties among powerful individuals, that inevitably translates into influence, whether it's explicit or not.
And it's like these people, they're not just showing up for a pancake breakfast. They're making connections, they're building relationships, and those relationships can absolutely be leveraged in the political sphere. It just makes sense.
Right, and it's not even necessarily malicious intent, necessarily. It's just the natural progression of powerful people forming bonds and discussing things that matter to them and their interests. It just happens to be cloaked in this layer of secrecy that, feeds into the mystique.
Which, of course, plays right into the whole hiding in plain sight thing, doesn't it? Because they're not necessarily hiding the fact that these people were members, but the depth of the influence, the informal nature of the discussions, that's the part that's harder to pin down.
Absolutely. It's fascinating to consider how much of our history might have been shaped by conversations that happened within those lodge walls away from the public record.
So you've got this political influence, these historical figures, and then you have, well, they do a lot of good stuff too, right? Like publicly. which I think is a brilliant move for them, actually.
Oh, absolutely. And this is where we get into what I call the charitable veil, Echo. Because yes, they do a lot of public charitable work.
They really do, like hospitals, scholarship funds. I mean, you hear about Shriners hospitals all the time for kids. It's genuinely good work they're doing.
Exactly. They're very, very public about running hospitals, about setting up scholarship funds, even disaster aid. Like if you look at their official statements, their public face is very much about, community, helping others.
And that's a tough thing to argue against, isn't it? When someone's actually doing tangible good in the world, it kind of disarms you.
It totally does. But then critics, and they're always critics, they argue that this public goodwill, it's actually masking their more secretive practices. It's like a strategic disguise.
Right, like look over here at all the good we're doing and don't pay attention to what's happening behind the curtain.
Precisely. And the Shriners Hospitals, which you mentioned, that's a perfect example, because they are in fact an offshoot of Freemasonry, and they have done unquestionably real good for so many children.
Like, no one can really deny the impact of those hospitals. They're phenomenal.
No, you can't. And yet the criticism is that their leadership, the structure of it, it remains tied to ritual secrecy and these hidden hierarchies. So while the front-facing operation is amazing, the core still remains that opaque nature.
So it's almost like they put this very public, very positive face forward, and it gives them this immense legitimacy. Like, oh, they're just a benevolent group of people doing good. And that kind of shields them from deeper scrutiny, doesn't it?
Completely. It's a fantastic, if you're looking at it from a strategic perspective, it's brilliant. This philanthropic front gives Freemasonry this undeniable legitimacy in the public eye, and as a result, it diverts attention away from their their hidden hierarchies and those rituals we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it's like you're not going to question the people who are funding research for diseases or providing free care to children. It's really clever. It makes you feel guilty for even thinking there might be something else going on.
It does, and it's a very powerful tool because who's going to come out and criticize an organization that's running hospitals for children? It makes you sound like a villain if you do.
And I guess, they could argue, well, we're doing the good and the way we do it, our internal workings, that's our business. But when you're also talking about the kind of influence we just discussed politically, it starts to get a little murky.
Yeah, because the two aren't necessarily separated, are they? The philanthropic arm, the public image, it directly impacts how the rest of the organization, including its more secretive aspects, is perceived. It's all part of the same package.
So it's less about the charity being secretive and more about the charity enabling the secrecy of the larger organization. Would that be a fair way to put it?
I think that's a very fair assessment, Echo. It's like the public sees the generous hand and they don't question the inner workings of the body that's extending that hand. It's a very effective way to maintain presence without attracting too much critical attention.
Yeah, it's almost a masterclass in public relations, isn't it? If you think about it, build goodwill, and then you don't have to explain too much of anything else.
Absolutely. And it's why when you talk to people about Freemasonry, often the first thing they'll mention is their charity work. That's the part that sticks in the public consciousness.
Wow. So they've got the architecture, the political influence, and then this incredible philanthropic shield. What else is there? Because I'm starting to feel like they're just everywhere.
Oh, they are. And this leads us right into the heart of it, Echo. The rituals themselves and how they use secrecy to just normalize their presence. Because, these rituals, they often mimic ancient mystery traditions.
Right, like the old secret societies you hear about in history books.
Exactly. And these aren't just like casual meetings. These are conducted in what they call temples. And here's the kicker. These temples are often hidden in plain view.
Wait, so they're not like grand, obvious structures? Like the ones we talked about with the symbols?
Not necessarily. Some are, sure, but many are designed to look, ordinary. They might be nestled in a row of office buildings, or they could just look like a regular club. But inside, that's where it gets interesting.
So you're saying from the outside, it's just like a beige building on Main Street. But inside, it's something else.
Precisely. They might have secret rooms, designated ritual chambers, coded signage that only members would understand. It's all about blending in, yet having this incredibly complex internal world.
That's kind of brilliant in its own way, isn't it? Because you'd never suspect it. You just walk right by it every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there are the oaths. Members swear these very serious oaths that emphasize loyalty and, crucially, secrecy. It's not just, oh, don't tell anyone what we discussed. It's deep-seated.
That makes sense. If you're going to have these hidden chambers and coded signs, you definitely need a strong code of silence among the members.
Yeah, you really do. And then there's the regalia.
Oh, like the fancy outfits. I've seen pictures of those.
Yeah, the aprons, the collars, sometimes the elaborate robes. To an outsider, it might look a bit eccentric, maybe even theatrical. But this entire aesthetic, the rituals, the oaths, the buildings, it all works together.
How so?
It allows the Masons to just blend into society, right? Because their public face is very normal, very charitable. But simultaneously, all these elements are constantly reinforcing insider loyalty. It creates this incredibly strong bond among members.
So it's like a dual identity almost. Publicly, they're the pillars of the community, quietly doing good work. But privately, within these unassuming buildings, they're engaging in these ancient secret rituals that only they understand.
Exactly. It's a way to maintain a very distinct identity and hierarchy without having to overtly advertise it. They rely on the subtle cues, the internal mechanisms, to keep the structure strong.
And the fact that they dress in these unique outfits and perform these rituals, it sounds like it would really solidify that feeling of being part of something exclusive, something special.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just, what they do. It's about how they feel when they're doing it. That sense of shared purpose, shared secrecy, shared history, it's very powerful for reinforcing that insider loyalty.
So they're not just blending in, they're reinforcing their own internal cohesion through these hidden practices. It's like a private club, but with a lot more historical weight and mystery to it.
A private club, yes, but one that has woven itself into the fabric of society so deeply, you hardly notice the threads. It's a testament to how effectively they've managed their public and private personas.
So they've mastered the art of blending into the literal landscape. Then they've got their political ties, their philanthropy, and their secret rituals hidden in plain sight. It almost feels like it's too much, How do they keep all of this from being, exposed or taken seriously by everyone?
Well, Echo, that's where pop culture comes in. And this is, I think, one of the most brilliant, subtle ways they sort of normalize themselves.
Oh, interesting. So movies and TV?
Exactly. If you think about it, from films like National Treasure, which, is all about secret societies and hidden clues, to even The Simpsons, Freemasons are often either parodied or used as part of fictional conspiracies.
Yeah, I can totally picture that. The stone cutters and The Simpsons, right? That's a direct parody of a secret society, and it just makes it seem silly.
Precisely. And that's the thing, this kind of pop culture treatment, while it's super entertaining, right, it might actually serve to desensitize audiences to any real Masonic influence.
So by making it a joke or a fun adventure movie, it kind of takes the edge off any serious inquiry.
That's pretty much it. By blending fact and fiction, Freemasonry's visibility becomes part of a cultural joke or just a cool plot device. And that really, really disarms serious inquiry.
I see what you mean. If every time you hear about it, it's either Nicolas Cage running around a museum or a cartoon character singing about secret rules, you're probably not going to dive into historical documents looking for actual evidence.
Exactly. It's oh, that's just a movie thing, or that's a cartoon. And Hollywood portrayals, they often either exaggerate or they soften the role of these groups.
So they either make them ridiculously powerful supervillains or just harmless, quirky old men in funny hats.
Yeah, or a mix of both. And by doing that, they're effectively making viewers less likely to view them critically. Like, why would you critically examine something that's been made into a punchline or a fantastical adventure?
That's really smart, actually. It's like if you control the narrative in popular entertainment, you control public perception without anyone even realizing it. They're just absorbing it as entertainment.
It's almost subliminal, isn't it? You're being fed these ideas, these images of Freemasons, and because it's in a fictional context, your brain just processes as, oh, this isn't real. This is just for fun. And that just reinforces the idea that any real-world discussions are like fringe or conspiracy theories, you know?
Yeah, it's like a built-in defense mechanism against scrutiny. If someone brings up serious questions about Masonic influence, the automatic response is, oh, you're just watching too many movies, or that's just like a silly cartoon.
Precisely. And that, I think, is one of the most effective ways they've managed to stay, quote-unquote, hidden in plain sight. They're everywhere, but because of how they're presented in our entertainment, we don't really see them as a serious, influential force. We see them as characters.
That's honestly a bit unsettling, how pervasive that influence can be through something as seemingly innocent as entertainment.
Yeah, it truly is, Echo. And I think this whole discussion today really shows just how subtle yet pervasive the presence of groups like the Freemasons can be. They're woven into our architecture, our history, our philanthropy, and even our entertainment.
Yeah, it's wild when you start pulling back the layers, isn't it? It just makes you wonder what else is like right in front of us that we're not quite seeing.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what we love to explore here on Redacted Frequencies. We hope this deep dive into how Freemasons managed to hide in plain sight has been, as thought-provoking for all of you listening as it has been for us discussing it.
For sure. And hey, if you're watching us on YouTube right now, please do us a favor and hit that subscribe button and give us a big thumbs up. It really helps us out.
It really does. And to all our listeners, wherever you are, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate you joining us on these journeys.
Before we sign off, though, we do have a little tease for next time. Our next episode is going to be incredibly fascinating, I think. We're going to be unmasking the secret society that started multiple wars.
Ooh, that's a big one, Echo. You won't want to miss that. So make sure you're subscribed to Redacted Frequencies wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss that episode.
Definitely. From Cypher and Echo, thanks for listening to Redacted Frequencies, and we'll catch you next time.